Hi, my name is Wayne. We're going to do a video today on marking out and measuring a sofa to be reupholstered. It's a standard sofa, 3-cushion seat, 3-cushion back with a skirt. We're going to mark it out and measure it so we can start cutting the fabric. Alright, first thing we're going to do, we're going to have a tape measure, pretty long one. Some pins, some paper to write on, all your measurements, a pencil, Sharpie, some chalk, so we can mark centers. What you want to do is you want to mark the center on the front and the center on the back, so you know where you're at in the middle. How we do that, we take the tape measure. We're going to measure the front border. We're going to measure it from the side of the outside arm, the farthest part, and you're gonna pretty much what I do is I use a pin and I put the pin in the center. I take my measurement, get pretty close to what I think it is, and then I measure it from the other side. And you could use another pin to put another pin in this side, and this side will actually give you your idea of your center with the 2 pins. So then you eyeball it, get your center right on. You're going to do the same thing for the back. I'm going to move the camera. This is my first time doing this, so you got to bear with me. Going to do the same thing back here. Going to find our center. Find our center. Mark it. Find our center from this side. Mark it. Alrighty. Now, with the same tape measure, we're going to measure the inside back. Got to get a measurement from down in, and you want to get at least 1.5 inches of material to staple down. And give yourself a decent amount of material so you're not short. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll put the measurement right at the top of the piece, and then I'll come back around with the pad after I take some more measurements. From the outside back, we're going to bring her up about 1/2 inch for our seam allowance. Give yourself at least 1.5 inches to upholster under the bottom. You got to allow for dacron, for the thickness of the dacron. Now write this down. And then I'm going to get a measurement from the outside back. Give myself at least 1 inch over the side, over each side. I just find my center that I marked and double it. Write that measurement down. Now, the same thing for the inside. At the longest point of where it is, sometimes the back fans, you want to actually get it in and make sure you got enough material, enough to staple. Do the same thing again and measure to the center and then double it. And then usually what I do is I'll write that measurement down again and double it. Okay, now do the same thing for the arm. Let's see if we can get it on the arm. Now, the inside arm, as you can see, I already pre-marked this because I knew I was going to do this earlier. You want to get it inside and make sure you got enough material to staple down, enough material to staple around the front. Give yourself enough, don't make yourself short. Sometimes you can cheat a little on the top to bottom. If you need to save a little, you could put a tail to make it longer, but you want to make sure you don't see it. You have to make sure you have enough material to put down through the bottom. I usually give myself at least, I would say 2 to 3 inches past the where you could see, and that usually gives me my measurement. I mark everything in the book on the pad. This way I know, and I keep the information, so this way I can bring it over to the table and we can cut things out. On the deck here, this is going to be a deck pad. You want to make sure you have at least a decent amount of material to staple also. You want to get that down into the deck, and also measure it to the center, and then double it. And then you're going to also measure front to back. Most of the time the decking is already pre-cut. It comes on a roll. I cut it off, and it's already big enough but sometimes you have to add a tail depending on how big the deck is. In this case, it's going to work out perfect because it's 27 inches. On this particular deck, the cutout is going to be around this here. It comes back through. It's not a straight piece that goes to the edge. It gets cut through, so you want to actually make sure you have enough to come around. And usually what I'll do is I give myself my 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then I measure it around to my center, and then I double it, and then I'll write that down that it's going to be doubled. And what happens is that is going to be the total size of the deck, the lengthwise. And then what you're going to do is you have to actually mark it again, and then you're going to measure it from the top of the deck where you're going to want to end the seam. And you pretty much you want to give yourself a so this way it's enough material to go around, but you also do not want to make it too loose, because then it's gonna make wrinkles on your deck. Usually what I'll do is I'll minus like 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch on the edge here, and then just do it again. Also find your center, and what you're going to do is double that, and then you have to double it plus the seam allowance, because this is going to come around and it's going to be folded and sewn so that this actually is a fitted deck. And the same with your measurement up and down. You want to make sure you have a 1/2 inch seam allowance at least, and 1.5 inches to staple underneath. And once you get that, you know, then you can proceed to the other markings. On this case, we have to do it's a 3 cushion seat, 3 cushion back, and 2 bolsters for the arms, for each arm. And what I do is I'm going to lay the cushions on here, and then once I lay them on, I'm going to mark where their ends are so that I know where to put my skirt. It's going to give me a general idea, and then from the center I know right where I'm going to be with the skirt. And then what I'm going to do is we'll get to that in a couple of minutes here. I'll go to that next. But the idea is to mark out everything that you need to mark out, and before you bring it over to the table. And then when we bring it over to the table, I'll give you a few pointers on how we're going to cut this out to save material so we do not have too much waste. That's the goal here, to make this work with the minimal amount of material we can, and it's still going to look great. We're just gonna, you know, make sure that we do not have any waste. All right, and the more that you have left over, that's for throw pillows. You know, you have extra fabric for arm covers if needed, the customer wants. But in this case, I'm going to mark it out, and I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get the cushions, and I'm going to put the cushions on here, and I'm going to show you how we go to the next part of marking out where our skirts are going to be. I will be right back.